Disclaimer: my intention is not to refute anything Jesus said, nor make any money from these videos, nor edit, add, or take away from any scriptures. But rather my intention is to preach the gospel and share any genuine light I may have. Please judge righteously and keep what is good. And remember, give God the glory, not man. His is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. This channel is primarily for the purpose of sharing the teachings of Jesus with all people, in the hopes that we will find fellowship in the principles set by Jesus Christ 2000 years ago, found in the four Gospels, the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. Many people and people groups hold on to various forms of theology, man-made doctrine if you will. When you hear the word Christian, you likely associate with a church of some kind with singing and free coffee maybe, don't you? There's nothing wrong with coffee and singing, but is that really what Christianity is about? Well, I'm here to tell you that it has nearly no resemblance on anything Jesus taught whatsoever. Usually I find a couple to a few teachings of Jesus present in any given church or religion, but obedience to those commands are also not in harmony with the rest of what Jesus said, because people don't know what Jesus said. I'll give you an example. Most churches do know the Our Father in Heaven prayer, but still people do the prayer and other prayers out loud in public, which Jesus said is plain hypocrisy. He taught that prayer, fasting and alms are all secret, only between God and man. See Matthew 6. A word about myself. I'm a shadow, a vapor of 2 seconds. Thus do not make me your Moses or whatever you wanna call the person standing between you and God, but instead let God take the primary and first place in all your things, all areas of your life. From experience, I will tell you that if you do, you will be a very happy person and will discover a brand new dimension, a state of being altogether. Now, Jesus described his teachings as a rock to fall on and be broken, or the other option, that you let the rock fall on you instead and grind you to powder. I believe he is talking about a time when he will return to judge all of us. Jesus said, "Heaven and earth will disappear, but my words will never disappear," telling us that his teachings are the meat and standard used in the judgment day for all people everywhere. Now, many people are able to remember some of the parables and a few teachings of Jesus from the four Gospels, but for whatever reason they have never considered to seriously obey him. I have been one of these people myself in the past, until I believe God led me to discover the truth. The truth is simple, and it is that the teachings of Jesus are the very base, cornerstone and rock of real faith in God. I could get many people offended for saying that, so let's look at a very important concept. To figure out God's will in various situations, it's absolutely necessary to listen to one's conscience. God will speak to us through our consciences if we're open to listen, but he will not force his will on anybody. Paul said some people have seared consciences. This is very bad, because such people have lost their ability to hear from God directly at all. Let's look at an example of a person of conscience, so to say, the Good Samaritan. So the story features the robbers, the victim, a priest, a regular Jewish man and a stranger. In my understanding, Samaritans were a little bit looked down by the Jews somehow. The priest rushes past the dying man and the Jewish man does the same, but the Samaritan sees the man, stops and takes care of him. Jesus greatly commended the Samaritan for his action of love, and I firmly believe that this man is in heaven with Jesus today. The point I wanted to illustrate is that even though we people differ greatly by religion, traditions, culture, we can all serve God by following our consciences without even knowing we're serving Jesus. I believe there are likely many Muslims, Hindus, even atheists who are following their conscience more than I do, and they will be greatly rewarded for it. You see, love is the way to heaven, as is clearly stated by Jesus with, for example, this parable. You may be the most zealous churchgoer and a person of faith. You may tell all the people of the world about Jesus, and yet still not make it in heaven if you do not have love. The double love command is the culmination of God's will, and I believe all the teachings of Jesus are actually how to perform that highest dual love. Love, however, is not just repeating the word all over again and again. It is primarily action, as Jesus illustrated with the parable of the Good Samaritan. How do you feel? Are you interested to hear more, or are you offended by some things covered in this video? And if you are offended, I just kindly please ask you to examine why it is that you're offended. Is it because you feel I'm attacking you or telling lies? Or could it be that the things I'm telling you challenge your entire way of thinking and life? I don't have any hidden motives. I want nothing from you, but instead I want to introduce you to the real Jesus of both history and Bible, because He alone is the one with the power and authority to save your soul and set you free of the lies which have tangled you from your very childhood. I highly recommend you to pair this video with the one from another channel called A Voice in the Desert. We in essence preach the same thing, which are the teachings of Jesus, the Son, Word and Messiah of God. There are certain people who have attacked this specific channel, A Voice in the Desert, unfortunately, and are spreading various lies about them in the internet. I suppose these attackers have recognized the validity of the message, the real gospel, which is the teachings of Jesus, and are running from it in fear of the radical changes that are absolutely necessary for them to really become Christians also. But no one can lie to the Almighty or slip past His terms of peace. None other gospel than the teachings of Jesus found in the four Gospels will ever save you or free you. Please share this message about the teachings of Jesus with as many people as possible. You can also like the video and create a public playlist to share further, and please do. My email address is found on the screen. If you feel inclined to link up and follow Jesus together in love, truth and unity, then please do contact me. Thank you.